the astrological mound builders of ancient North America. Why is there such a historical blackout on this? They had tremendous knowledge of astronomy, astrology. This is on Humans Are Free by Alexander Light. It's truly mind-altering to contemplate history. I'll usually start with the fact that most of our recorded history remains in secrecy. The U.S. government alone, according to some historians, classifies approximately 500 million pages of documents every single year. But it's not just in the U.S. this is going on, this is worldwide, except for perhaps Ecuador, but we'll look into that as well. Now, Ecuador has a museum of ancient giant humanoid skeletons. Now, he says here, how can a researcher, historian, or anybody who is interested in diving into the archives of the U.S. history, for example, expect to find anything of any real substance that actually pertains to the truth? History is written by the victors, and most major historical events are full of information and facts that don't really show up in our secondary and post-secondary educational quote-unquote textbooks. Nothing is talked about. It's unfortunate. It's a big blank as to the archaeology of North America. These days, no matter how much evidence and facts support a topic, if that topic and information simply defies beliefs or offends current upheld belief systems, many of which are based on lies, then it is rejected. We see this in all disciplines today. A great example would be the connection between consciousness and our physical material world. On heart math, you'll see that the scientists have evidence of the fact that our consciousness can, for example, lessen earthquakes and volcanic activities and earth changes, catastrophes, and our consciousness can also stop solar storms, and they have evidence of this. But going back to this, we see this in all disciplines today. The great example would be the connection between consciousness and our physical material world, as demonstrated numerous times repeatedly by quantum physics, despite the fact that we're told these rules only apply to the quantum level. There are several examples which show that no, they can be applied to the classical level as well. Cases of mind influencing matter have been reported throughout history and across many cultures, more specifically in relation to supernormal abilities, which include telepathy, psychokinesis, and other phenomena that lie with the realms of parapsychology. Let me, as I'm reading this, tell you what happened to us. That was just basically on the beginning of my conversion when I started reading a lot of books on Christian orthodoxy. The power, for example, of the Jesus prayer, using the name Jesus Christ. The Jesus prayer is, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on us sinners, or have mercy on me, the sinner. Or the short form is, Lord have mercy, Christ have mercy. We were going on vacation, taking a ship. It was a ferry, so we had our car with us, and it was an overnight type of thing. It was many hours from the port of Piraeus to the island of Naxos in the Aegean, and it was a big trip because it was stopping at a lot of places. And as we were, it's always, from what they told us, it's always very windy in Naxos, very windy. You can imagine that there are hardly any trees on the island because the wind just takes them apart. But we had this tremendous storm, sea storm, and the waves were crashing at the front of the ship, and we were really scared. The whole thing was really trembling, and it was a big ship. And so I sat with my, we had our children with us as well. We were families with children. And I took my youngest son of the two, and I said, come and sit with me, and we'll do the Jesus prayer. And we were there about 5 minutes. It was, I'm telling you, it was like 10 below 4. It was really bad. Everybody was really scared for their lives, obviously. So we were sitting there for about 5 minutes saying the Jesus prayer so that the storm would stop. And it did. It did. It really, really calmed down. And everybody was really shocked. How did it calm down all of a sudden? And we told everybody that we were doing the Jesus prayer. And this is not a lie. This thing works. you know. Now, this is evident in, going back to the article, in ancient literature from the Vedic texts and the Yoga Sutras to Jesus, Moses. It's also evident via declassified CIA documents, some of which you can access here at the link. So what is going on here? Just as there is scientific blackout in many cases, we also have historical blackouts and a modern-day blackout of information and discoveries that are made by the black budget world. A 1997 U.S. Senate report described them as so sensitive that they are exempt from standard reporting requirements to the Congress. Yet we still reject these blackouts, and historical facts are no different. Now, what about the giants of North America? The ancient giant skeletons that are found everywhere, not just North America, they're worldwide. And even recently in Saudi Arabia, when they were drilling, in Saudi Arabia, the oil is very close to the surface of the sand. You just have to scratch it a little bit and you find an oil well underneath, really. Some of that also just bubbles up by itself. They found unexpectedly, they found giant skeletons buried under the sand there. This was about 4 or 5 years ago. So what about these giants of North America? We'll call them Nephilim or Anunnaki. Have discoveries been covered up simply because they don't fit the framework of accepted knowledge? And even the video before this one, I relate about on Greek national television, some archaeologists and zoologists found huge giant humanoid skeletons in an area that was that had a forest fire in the mountains around Athens. It had a forest fire, and so it was easy for them to go and check things out, because the whole area was barren. So, very easily to dig and find things. And they found giant human skeletons, compressed, skeletons of horses, what looked like horses, and goats and donkeys and things that were able to run if something of a devastation was coming, like a flood or a landslide or a mudslide, but they had no time to run. It happened so fast that they were just swept away without them having the chance, not even for a split second, to get up and run away. They didn't. And they were swept away. They were, from the pressure, they were squished. And they found giant human skeletons there as well. Of course, they took them away and never to be seen again, so that people wouldn't start asking questions. Now, going back to this, so it's not just North America, it's other areas as well. Romania, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Greece, you name it. Now, it sure seems that way, that there's a cover-up simply because they don't fit the framework of accepted knowledge, especially because you won't see any mention of giants in our textbooks. Perhaps that's because they don't fit in with supposed theory of evolution. Well, you do have them in textbooks, but as legends and mythology, for example, in Greece, and you even have them name names of certain cyclops and giants and centaurs, the half man, half horse type of thing. Not only were there giants, but they were Nephilim in that they were not proper humans. They were an abominable mixture of half human, half animal type of thing. So, and of course, the people in Greece and Cyprus do learn of these things. Now, perhaps it's because now they don't teach this because they don't fit in with the supposed theory of evolution. Now, is this information just too paradigm shifting, where what we once thought we knew is not true anymore? Kind of like another "the earth is not flat" type of moment. Giants are found within the lore of multiple cultures, from the indigenous to the ancient past, but bones have also been discovered on numerous occasions. Even recently, as we said, Saudi Arabia, for example. Now, it calls up the indefinite past. When Columbus first sought this continent of North America, when Christ suffered on the cross, when Moses led Israel through the Red Sea, nay, even when Adam first came from the hand of his Maker, then as now, Niagara was roaring here. The eyes of that species of extinct giants whose bones fill the mounds of America have gazed on Niagara as ours do now, said President Abraham Lincoln. And the bones in the mounds, of course, they're not talking about mammoths and mastodons, they're talking about humanoids. Because mammoths and mastodons or whatever, they don't bury each other and cover up their burials with mounds. It's humanoids that do that. Now, a discovery was made in 1883 when the Smithsonian, the United States government military-led organization at that time, dispatched a team of archaeologists to South Charleston Mound. The report indicates that the team uncovered numerous giant skeletons ranging from 7 to 9 feet tall. Let's remember that the people at that time were quite short. I would venture to say that 4.5, 5 feet would have been, I guess average. Of course, Abraham Lincoln was quite tall, they say. Now, 7 to 9 feet tall and even taller were found in North America, even 14 feet. Now, they were decorated with heavy copper bracelets and other religious and cultural items. And the report also mentioned that some of them had a skull that was of compressed or flat type head and elongated. This would resemble similar skeleton characteristics of those found in South America and Egypt, the elongated Paracas skull of South America. Now, going back further still, in 1774, settlers found what they called the Giant Town, which housed 7 gigantic skeletons, one being an 8-foot tall male. And you can read more about that in the articles we've written previously about the subject and see examples. From the New York Times articles and more, the evidence of giants is great. The New York Times, that 1902 article that I read in the past 2 videos. The Ceremonial Astrological Mound builders of North America. Obviously, they had a reason to build their mounds with lights coming in at various times of the year. Why is that? Another interesting topic I recently came across was just like the pyramids and many other wonders of the world built with remarkable mathematical precision and synchronicities are the ancient structures in North America that's been completely ignored by mainstream media, mainstream history. And also, I'll leave a link on the Emerald tablets written by Thoth the Atlantean, and he states that after the destruction of Atlantis, the Atlanteans were misusing their very advanced knowledge of modern technology and time travel and star travel and interstellar travel, space travel, and interdimensional travel. They were even bringing in beings from other dimensions that were really demonic, really bad. And he says that also extraterrestrials are reptilian and that they look like humans to us, but they are not. And they're really malevolent and they'll do anything they can to get rid of the human race. Okay? Now, he says that before the destruction of Atlantis, there were Atlanteans that fled to other areas of the world, making sphinxes, making pyramids, using their free energy and their technology and their very advanced technology in other areas of the world. So he also said he had a spacecraft and that he, towards the end of the Emerald tablets there, he buried it under the Sphinx in ancient Egypt, a sphinx where he also built pyramids on the plateau. Now, I don't know if that's in Saqqara or if it's in Giza or somewhere else that we don't know of. But it could be that these Atlanteans, before their destruction of their continent of Atlantis, fled to other areas. Now, not all Atlanteans were bad, but most of them were, he said. And that was the reason that the divine being, the God, had the ultimate God, of course, had to destroy Atlantis to save mankind, obviously. Now, Jim Vieira is a stonemason, writer, and a star of History Channel's Search for the Lost Giants, and his TED Talk band. The band TED Talks are always the most fascinating. My favorite from Russell Targ, who was a physicist contracted by the CIA to create the Stargate Project, a program investigating parapsychological phenomenon where he shared everything he knows about ESP. It was banned simply because it was too controversial, similar to Vieira's talk as well. In one of Jim's talks, he describes a structure, one of many which have apparently been found all over America, that goes to show just how interesting and mysterious and advanced these beings are. It's one of many pieces of the puzzle showing that extremely advanced, highly intelligent ancient civilizations once roamed the earth, and many of them have been completely blacked out from our history. Perhaps the history makers, quote unquote, wrote their own version and decided to cut out information that would not fit in with their plan to control the narrative of what is and what was. And in it, he describes ceremonial, quote unquote, stoneworks that have been found in New England. These structures have been carbon dated, according to the talk, to thousands of years old, every single one of them. Quote, but there's a historical blackout, end quote, according to Vieira, especially in New England. He goes on to show a picture of the Gosham stone chamber, one of the hundreds in New England, and what's remarkable about these structures is that the majority of them are oriented to the equinox sunrise or winter solstice sunrise. And this is a picture of it right here, as you can see. The picture he took on March 12th from the chamber. And he then goes on to say, quote, we are told that these are colonial root cellars, end quote. This one has a 10-ton sailing, and as a stonemason, he explains how the structure itself is quite a feat, which is why he has a suspicion that they might have been built by the giants which exist in ancient lore. Another interesting shot from the talk, particular structure, the Goshen stone, has a stone-lined shaft created in the chamber which allows the equinox sunset to come through twice a year, only on those days. And again, he also cites lab work done, which cites carbon dating reading off thousands of years old, so that would completely shatter the current mainstream accepted explanation that these are simply colonial root cellars. How crazy is that? The ancients were obsessed with astrology. The evidence for intelligent ancient civilization has been left out of the historical record is grand, but even the ones that have not been left out show a tremendous knowledge of astrology, planets, and facts about the cosmos that we did not discover ourselves till only a few decades ago, like the existence of Pluto, for example. From the indigenous all the way to ancient Sumeria, astrology has obviously played a huge key role among these societies and was extremely relevant. Yet today, this topic and its importance are brushed off as a pseudoscience. I personally have no doubt the movement of the cosmos and the way it affects human consciousness is something real, yet perhaps not well understood, but it's making a comeback. There's a lot of validity behind such concepts and beliefs, but they are brushed off today simply because we have been trained to believe that this type of thing is bogus, when really it's far from it, and once understood, it could be of tremendous use to humanity, especially for goodwill. This is from Collective Evolution, and it's on Humans Are Free by Alexander Light. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. and we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.